sort of the inner sanctum. This is where I spend a great deal of time reading, getting depressed in the morning reading the New York Times. But
don't read the financials.
As I said, and the library. So the three of us, my two cats and myself, this is where we spend a lot of time.
The thing that I find so thrilling about you guys having the opportunity to see this with us, there are things that from all over the world. There's Russian icons. There's a giraffe over there from Kenya, I know because I've spent some time there. There's something from everywhere in this earth in this house that represents another place or something special that somebody gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first passions in collecting? What you might have...
I remember as a kid, and I mean really I was about 13, I think was the first, and I actually have the object. It's a candle mold that I was visiting a friend of mine out in, they were much older, but to stay the weekend, and in Roslyn there was an antique shop, and I was waiting for a bus to get to where I was supposed to be going. And in this antique shop, I was just fascinated. And I had a little money to spend, not much. And I saw this candle mold, and I said, I'm going to get that.
And that was it.
And that was it. That started all of this.
Grew like Topsy, didn't it?
It certainly did grow like Topsy.
One of the things is, as a collector, which I'm nowhere near anything like this, but it's the artist's eye. If you look at such a little detail that obviously he thinks about, there's a crucifix there. Directly below it is a Russian, probably, icon.
It is an icon of a... Yes.
That it was placed together like that. The thought that that's how it had to be. It's pretty amazing.
And
a simple thing like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it happens automatically.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a conscious,
Reggie,
weighing every gesture.
who is this handsome warrior
Oh,
facing
God, is he
the
fabulous.
crucifix?
There is an interesting story to that. Mary Sarg Murphy, the daughter of Tony Sarg, the famous Tony Sarg,
Right.
was a very good friend of mine. And her speaking of puppets and marionettes, he actually brought back the marionette theaters and whatnot in the 20s and the early 30s.
Tony Sarg.
Yeah, and made some wonderful marionettes himself and created some wonderful marionette theater. He also was a great collector of marionettes. I mean, there you have a serious collector. And some of the great marionettes come from Sicily and Naples. Mm-hmm. And this is a Neapolitan marionette.
Oh my.
And they weigh a ton. I mean,
it's all metal, though.
They are heavy. And how those men up top were able to move the thing, not to speak of giving it appropriate gestures and whatnot, is astounding. Those up top was the first attempt really to start a collection. And they are primitive toys, usually made in the 30s in the family. And they were probably, in many cases, toys for people with not much money. And there were many people in the 30s with not much money.
Really?
And I just was intrigued with them, and I started them. And then when I started, they were fairly inexpensive. Somehow,
you did it.
Whether I started the ball rolling, I suddenly found out if I kept on collecting, I'd be indigent.